Hello, I'm Michael from Ivanhoe Cycles. We're going to go through building a bicycle. It is always best to get a bicycle built by a professional mechanic, but if you'd like to have a go yourself, these videos will show you how. There's some very important parts of the bicycle which need to be adjusted properly, which we'll go into in the videos. There's the rear derailleur and its adjustments, its limits. There's the front derailleur and its adjustments and limits. There's the levers, brakes and shifters, and also the hydraulic brakes on each wheel. Making sure the pedals are done up correctly and the seat height, etc. These things are all very important. We'll go into that in the specific bicycle video that you've purchased. Hello, Michael from Ivanhoe Cycles. We're going to go through building a Rise 3.0 XDS bicycle. The first thing we're going to do is take it out of the box. There's always a little box of parts in there which has the skewer. So always take them out and put them aside. So that's the bicycle out of the box. It does come with a manual. The manual is certainly worth reading. Lots of good information in there. We're going to start by putting the handlebars on, making sure the handlebar and the cables aren't all tangled up. There's a faceplate on the front of the head stem. We're going to take all 4 bolts out of that. So making sure the forks are facing the right way, cables aren't tangled, the handlebar goes in central, faceplate goes on, and just gently do up each bolt till they're all the way in but loose still. We need to make sure that on the faceplate the gap at the top and bottom is about the same. Okay, so getting the levers so they're on a slight angle, so when you're sitting on the saddle the levers are below the bar slightly. I'm going to lock these bolts up in a diagonal pattern just so they all torque up correctly. So basically start at the top left, go to the bottom right, go to the top right, go to the bottom left. And that way it gives a good torque and even pressure to the faceplate. There's a bell and reflector on the handlebars. The reflector normally goes in against the head stem, and the bell normally goes across near the left-hand handlebar. Okay, so putting the front wheel in, you'll leave the skewer. The skewer has a nut, which comes off, and 2 springs. You'll take one of the springs off. The springs have got a large diameter and a small diameter. The large diameter goes to the outside. The skewer normally goes through from the disc side. On the other side you'd put the spring and the nut. Put the nut on a couple of turns. So when you're putting the front wheel in, line the disc up with the brake pads, making sure it's going in between them evenly. The forks will sit right down onto the axle, and you'll find the lever on the right hand side moves around quite freely. As you do the nut up, the lever will start to get pressure on it. It should be about horizontal or a bit above, and clamp up with an amount of force when you close it. Making sure, of course, the wheel's central in the forks. With the seat clamp and the seat tube, they both need to have a bit of grease on them. It actually allows the seat clamp to clamp pressure better. And inside the seat tube so the seat post doesn't stick in there. So the pedals of the bicycle, there is a left and a right hand pedal. I'm going to put grease on the threads. With the pedals, the left and right is indicated by an L and R on the end of the pedal. And also on the left pedal, it's got stripes or lines on it, whereas the right pedal doesn't have that. It makes them easy to see apart or tell apart. Always put the pedal in by hand first, so that you make sure the threads are lined up and it's not crooked. And do the pedals up with a pedal spanner or a 15mm spanner. Both pedals do up in a forward motion, so they both do up forward on the bicycle. Okay, we'll put some air in the tyres. All the XDS bicycles have the pressure allowable in the tyre written on the side of the tyre. This one actually says between 30 to 50 psi. Always before you pump the tyre up, make sure it's sitting on the rim all the way around, the tube's not hanging out, that sort of thing. Okay, With the head stem, we've tightened the faceplate up, but we need to tighten the handlebars so they don't turn. There's a bolt in the top oven under the rubber cap. That bolt is on a compression cap, which gives you the right pressure for the top and bottom bearings. There's a little collar below the head stem. Just undo the bolt until the collar starts turning by hand, and then do it up again just until the collar stops turning. This gives you about the correct amount of pressure there. Once that's done, you've got the 2 pinch bolts at the back of the stem. Make sure the handlebars are lined up straight. Wind each pinch bolt screw in just till it's touching, and then lock both the bolts up. Check the handlebars don't move. That's good. So the front brake, we're just going to make sure the calipers are lined with the disc. So by spinning the wheel, you can hear if it's rubbing or not. If it's not rubbing, you don't need to do anything. If it is rubbing, you'll need to centralise it. To centralise it, just unlock the 2 bolts holding the caliper to the fork, so the caliper can move around freely. With the caliper moving around freely, hold the front brake on, which will centralise or clamp the caliper onto the disc, and then check that it's not rubbing. Once that's working well, lock the bolts up properly. So that's the front of the bicycle done. On the rear of the bicycle, we've got a caliper to adjust and the gears to check. So we're going to start with the caliper. Same as the front, check it first. If it's not rubbing, you don't need to do anything. If it is rubbing, you'd unlock the 2 bolts, centralise it by holding the brake lever, and lock the 2 bolts up again, but this one's fine. Now the bicycle will start off in the smallest cog at the back, the biggest cog at the back, which is the easiest gear, and the smallest cog at the front, which is the easiest gear. The first thing I'm going to do is pedal over and make sure it's not rubbing in the front derailleur, which it isn't. I'm going to gently press my thumb against the derailleur to make sure that the chain's not going to go up into the spokes or the spoke protector, which it doesn't do. Now with the right-hand shifter, I'm going down through the back gears and listening to see if it's running neatly in the gears or not. Once I've gone down to the bottom cog, or the smallest cog, I can see the chain's not touching the outside of the derailleur there. Go up into the middle here, same thing, derailleur's not rubbing. Go up into the tops here, same thing, the derailleur's not rubbing. That's good. Then I'll actually go back up to the biggest cog at the back, or the easiest gear, and check that it's not rubbing on the top ring. It's not. Drop it down to the middle ring, still not rubbing. Bottom ring, not rubbing. So with the Rise 3.0, again, we've built it all, we've put it all together. I'd go over and recheck all the bolts just to make sure the pedals are on properly, the head stem's done up properly, the faceplate's done up properly, the seat's set at the right height for whoever's going to ride the bicycle. Now, if you come across anything that's not like that, or that's more difficult, a different sort of derailleur adjustment, we've got other videos on our Ivanhoe Cycles YouTube site, or you could always call one of the stores and speak to one of our mechanics. Thank you.